How good is this time of year? Does it get any better than kingies off the wharf and big kings? Leaf here with this week's Boss Outdoor Fishing Report.
How good have the wharves been fishing at the moment? We've seen good reports of some big kingfish getting around, especially at Merimbula Wharf here, and there's even a few longtail tuna around at the moment. So generally as we get towards the end of April into May, it's big fish time on the wharves. So the big kings, and then we start to see some better sized longtail. The bonito are still around as well, but once again, there's less of them, but they're proper fish. I've seen a few almost pushing 70 centimetres getting around. So look, if you want to get on the headlands and spin up a few pelagics, they're definitely around, and there's some good fish getting amongst them as well. So get out there, throw a live bait out, and you're in with a chance.
We're continuing to see some good action offshore. Reefs have been fishing well. We've seen a lot of snapper coming. Not a big again, but there's plenty of them. Mix of plastics, Bait Junkie wave minnows, Molex Fork Flex, always a good option. You can try a Squid Trex or a slow pitch jig. Definitely some good options there. Some good sized mowies I saw as well. So yeah, that all bodes well for the upcoming Snapper Classic at the end of the month, sponsored by, hosted by the Merimbula Game Fishing Club. So keep your eye out for that one. Flatties have been okay. They're a bit patchy. There's a lot of guys find them, a lot of guys not finding them. We tend to see that a little bit in closer in that 20 to 25 metre mark, I think is the go at the moment. Just continue to move around until you find them, and hopefully you can find them, and then you should be able to get a feed. But yeah, all in all, not been too bad over the last week. Weather's looking pretty good for this weekend. So yeah, get out there and get into them.
Well, on the game fishing scene, we've seen a bit of yellowfin action this week. So it started off at Bateman's Bay, or out from Bateman's Bay, and then it's wandered down south. That water's slowly pushed south. I think this week we've got some really good weather coming from tomorrow on pretty much. It looks pretty flat and pretty nice all week. I'd be heading out, I reckon, between Tarthra and Bermagui on the shelf there. We'll put some coordinates up. I reckon that's your mark to start for a yellowfin tuna this week. Well, the weather's starting to cool down and we're starting to think about trout. So the best thing to do when you're thinking about trout is to head into our Canberra store and talk to Nathan.
Thanks for that, Leaf. Yeah, so it's starting to cool down here in the Snowy Mountains. We're starting to get some really cool nights. It's cooling those temperatures around the lake edges, which means all the brown trout are starting to stage up towards the river mouth at the moment. This is the time of year you can expect to catch a big trophy, so there's fish up to 10 pound already been recorded. You just got to put up with the cold conditions if you're going to fish into the night, but you will find these fish hunting around the edges during the day. We have had good reports still down the bottom end of the lake towards Buckendera and Middling Bank, so it's still well worth a shot fishing down there, but you're going to find the bulk of fish will start moving up river at this time of year. We've got a really good selection of flies in at the moment, getting ready for the spawn. The river is still really low. We haven't had a lot of rain, so we're really praying for that rain. If we get a good rainfall, those fish will run up river, and you should see much bigger numbers. But at the moment they're all still sort of staging and feeding up, so yeah, it's still a really good time to fish the lake and around that river mouth area. But yeah, come in store, check out all the flies, and we'll get you all sorted.
Thanks, Nath. That's some great advice up there on the trout. If you want some more in-depth view on the trout fishing scene, check into our Facebook page in Canberra. Nath's got a weekly fishing report that he goes through in a bit more detail. But after that, let's see what Jamari has for us.
So the estuary fishing in the lakes at the moment is starting to slow down a little bit as we start to get some colder water. Merimbula is still producing a few fish. There's definitely trevally in the channel still. The flatties are sort of coming off the flats into the deepest areas around the back lake, up on the edges. There's still a few around. The Bega River up at Tarthra is fishing okay for a couple good dusky flatties, and there's some mulloway still around up there as well. So worth a shot still if you want to get after some estuary species. There's still a few around.
Well, that wraps things up for this week's fishing report. Our deal of the week this week, since there's so many kings off the wharf, our live bait Gamakatsu hooks take 30% off. Just come and see the boys in store. That's about all we got for you from this week's fishing report from Boss Outdoors. So if there's anything you need to know, whether it's fishing, camping, anything outdoor related, come into Boss Outdoor and we'll hook you up.